So where will they be? Of course, unfortunately, WWE have released a ton of talent on Thursday, the 21st of September, 2023. It is a shame to see many people lose their jobs, but unfortunately for them, they will not be continuing WWE. But what we can speculate is potentially a brighter future. One thing for wrestling right now compared to many years previously, we know there are different places to go. There is a competitor like All Elite Wrestling with national TV time, with Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, all TV shows on weekly television. There are other places to go as well. Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, NWA. I mentioned AEW earlier with Ring of Honor. There is also the indie scene, which is thriving right now. Look at a Matt Cardona, who has made himself the king of the indies with all his championships in possession right now. And we look at someone like Blake Christian, who's called out Mustafa Ali. He's holding a GCW championship as well. Wrestling is prospering, not just in WWE, but outside of it as well. So hopefully the wrestlers that have been released can land on their feet and a bright future is ahead of them. I'm going to speculate it, but I'm not going to speculate alone. I'm with my good friend to the side of me, the one, the only, Mr. NXSteve in the house. NXSteve, are you ready to do some speculation station and go through some wrestlers and see where they might be going?
Yeah, let's knock this out of the park and imagine these places that they'll actually end up in. So, it'll be fun.
So we'll begin then and talk about Mustafa Ali. Where do you see Mustafa Ali going?
Ideally, I think Impact. I think he has the possibility to be the next world champion for Impact. I think if someone like Rich Swann can go there and become world champion, I think Mustafa Ali, who has already has a plethora of talent when it comes to character-wise, I think he could absolutely go over there and tear it up. If not, I'd say free agent. That leaves him open to go into New Japan, everywhere, GCW, AEW, and just literally go across the world, tearing the world up.
I tell you what, wherever Mustafa Ali goes, I am watching. I am invested in
Absolutely.
Mustafa Ali as a character, as an in-ring performer. Mustafa Ali, for me, is honestly... is someone that's not actually lived to the potential, and it's not through his talent, it's through the creative that he's been given. For me, I agree with you. Impact Wrestling would be a great destination to be a world champion. I could see him being in All Elite Wrestling. I can see him being a future international champion. Who knows, maybe even a world champion, but certainly I think that the world potentially could be about to benefit getting Mustafa Ali. And one thing I'd love to see him in is the best of the Super Juniors for New Japan Pro Wrestling. If he was in that tournament, I promise you, I'll be watching. The prospect of Ali being
Absolutely.
at Wrestle Kingdom would be incredible. So I will, though, stick my neck out and say that I think AEW will be Mustafa Ali's next time if I had to pick one, because I can't pick everywhere. I will pick one. So we'll move on in the meantime. We'll talk about Dolph Ziggler. I'm going to start off with this one. I think that he'll be going to AEW as well. A safe pair of hands, someone that's been in the business for many, many years. His brother is in All Elite Wrestling. He's probably looking for that push as well as being one of the wingmen, his brother, but perhaps maybe him and Dolph could be a future tag team championship contenders for the company.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to go the same. I think if you're not going to be future tag team champions, they could possibly then go on to have a, do you know what I mean, a brother versus brother feud. Like, I know obviously we've got the Usos doing the same kind of thing at the minute, but I think Dolph going to AEW just makes sense just because of how they run. Having some young guys come in, wrestle someone the likes of Dolph Ziggler, who's been to Mania, done it all, got a world of experience, can put over people, no problem. I think that's probably his best location for him to go.
Absolutely. How about Shelton Benjamin?
I think for me, it has to be AEW as well. I think this is just another experienced head that someone else you can put in a ring with some young guys, get some valuable experience with. I did see, I don't know if we were talking about it earlier or if I saw someone tweet it out. Someone said about him being a potential member of the Blackpool Combat Club. It's a good shout. I can see it happening, but like I said, I think AEW is probably his best bet going forward, just because, like I said, he's an experienced head.
I think I saw the same tweet. I want to say that's a Sean Rossap tweet that came out earlier today, and I've got to say that whoever suggested that on his stream at the time, I think was printing money, if you want, for that better term, because Shelton Benjamin will be fantastic for that group. He's sort of been it and done it with, Team Angle in the past, obviously, along with the likes of the Hurt Business as well. He'd be fantastic in the Blackpool Combat Club. But certainly, if I had to pick someone, he actually did Japan the last time he left WWE, so I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to where he was previously. I would like to see Shelton Benjamin in Impact Wrestling personally. I think there were some great matches he could do. His in-ring style would be so suitable for the X division. Would be also quite a good contender for the world title division as well. I think he could someone that could finally win a world title. I'd like to personally see it. I think if he was to be in the AEW banner, I think he'd be more on the Ring of Honor side of things personally, with the younger talent you were mentioning to before. But if I had to pick one, I will go with Impact Wrestling. I'll go a bit outside the box because a part of my head says New Japan, but my heart says Impact Wrestling. Elias, someone obviously a great talker, obviously knows how to work a crowd. I think for me personally, although I think he would be able to work with any size of crowd, I do think Impact Wrestling would be the best destination for Elias, purely because, again, I think he is someone that potentially could become a world champion down there. I think he has all the credentials to really hone his craft, use his character as an asset. Impact is very good at booking characters. They have a really, multi-layered roster, if you will, and I think that Elias certainly would fit in that land.
Yeah, I think that is probably the best shout for him. Like, if not somewhere like maybe an NWA, just because they tend to focus on a lot of character work as well. But I think Impact is probably the best one for him. I think he deserves the larger platform of the two. Like I said, I think he could achieve both for NWA and Impact and be world champion. So yeah, but I'm going to agree and I'm going to say Impact. I think his character work alone deserves to be an Impact.
How about Rick Boogs?
This is an NWA guy for me. I think that his character isn't final and finished. I think he's very one dynamic for me as well. I think that all I saw was Screaming Guy most of the time. I think if he works on that, he can. Do you know what I mean? He'll go places, but I think NWA is probably the best place at the minute. There is a pool of experienced talent there that he can work with, and it gives him time to work on and develop a character.
I really like that shout because I can see him in the Impact Zone. I see him there. He's another one of those where I just think, again, if you don't get Elias, you get Rick Boogs. I could just someone with a guitar I can see being an Impact, and I think Boogs certainly would fit that nature. Again, kind of with that wacky, like you said, character that can stand out in that company. But the NWA does seem that would have appeal for Rick Boogs, and obviously he's kind of got this, big muscular physique. I think they would push him as a top guy in NWA. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about someone that, what's best for someone. Do you want to be someone that's part of the roster? Do you want to be someone that could be treated as a big deal? And I think Boogs and NWA would be a big deal. So I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I think that perhaps maybe that could be the best place for Rick Boogs going forward. Let's talk about Dana Brooke. For me, this one I do see being in the Impact Zone. I think Dana Brooke in Impact can work really, really well. And I think she could benefit going there and finally be a breakout star and finally become a champion.
Has the potential for me to be the Mickie James replacement in the Impact Zone.
Ooh.
I think that Dana has 10 years worth of experience. She has the ability to be a consistently strong female character. I think, like, if you was looking long term, Mickie James replacement in the Impact Zone.
There you go. I like that shout. What do we see for Aliyah?
And AEW. I think that she has enough ring experience. I just think that she needs to be part of a roster and needs to develop a character while still being relevant. And I think that going to Impact, I think she'd even get lost in the Impact roster. AEW again is the potential of ROH as well, so you've got some stuff there to do, but she needs to work on a character for me. And I think that where I've not seen nothing of a character in WWE, I'd rather put her in with ROH just because she can consistently wrestle well, and I think she'd excel well in those two companies because of that.
I have to 100% agree with you. A bit me can see her in the Impact Zone, but I think, like you said, though, I don't see her being a world champion there, and I think that then is that the best for Aliyah. As a speculation station, I can see Ring of Honor as well. I think, like you said, there under the AEW banner, there's a ceiling to grow. Yes, it's like going through developmental again, ROH to go to AEW, but certainly to go to Ring of Honor right now, there are some great talents to work with. Obviously, Athena, you've got the likes of Willow Nightingale as well, great people to work with. So I think for Aliyah, that could be a great way to hone her craft and get more experience under the belt, and hopefully can get a big push going forward afterwards. We'll talk about next then the combination, really, for me, because I'm going to put them together. So I'm going to put Emma's name up and then Riddick Moss. I see them together as a power couple, in Impact Wrestling. Tenille Dashwood to return, Riddick Moss with a new name. I can see them being the Matt Cardona and Steph, I forget her surname, and I did forget her surname in the other video as well. But those two have been taking over the indie scene. Of course, Matt Cardona before was doing it with Chelsea Green. I think that Tenille Dashwood and Riddick Moss could really be the power couple of Impact Wrestling. And I think you've got other couples to work with in Impact as well, the likes of Frankie Kazarian and Tracy Brooks. You've got Eddie Edwards with Alicia as well. And I think that Riddick Moss, for me in particular, when I think about his name, I compare him to being someone that could reinvent himself and be like a Steve Macklin. Macklin was a forgotten son and was never expected to be what he's become. He's completely reinvented himself. And if a day comes he's a free agent from Impact Wrestling, he's going to be wanted by the bigger boys once again. And I think that Riddick Moss and Emma as a dynamic duo could really make that happen.
See, you've made this hard for me now because you've bundled them together, because this isn't what I would have done. See, I'm going to go completely out and I'm going to say ROH, just for the pure fact that as much as I love Tenille Dashwood in Impact, I think ROH needs another more established female wrestler, and it also then leads into AEW and the possibility of getting Saraya versus Tenille Dashwood, something obviously we haven't seen for a very long time from NXT. Like, those two obviously have history, and I'm just trying, like, because I've had to bundle them together, I'm trying to think how Riddick Moss would work in ROH. But then again, like I said, you don't put them in as a power couple. I could still see Riddick Moss going in and doing pure championship, do you know what I mean? Or just, do you know what I mean, being involved somewhere in ROH. But I'll say ROH for the pair of them. I
mean, you don't have to do the pair. What would you do?
I'm going to pair Riddick Moss. I would have sent to Impact, just because I feel he will fare better in Impact than I think ROH. I think Riddick Moss has the potential to do some great character work, which is where I think he would excel well in Impact. But as I said, if I bundled them together, pair of them in ROH. But if they're separately, Riddick in Impact, Tenille in ROH.
Top Dollar. I personally don't see Top Dollar in one of the big wrestling companies. Sorry to say for him, but I do see him being on the indie scene. I think that for him, he's someone that could benefit going through a lot of different territories.
Yeah, I think that he's probably got his fingers in other pies outside of wrestling anyway. But I mean, if I was to pick a place, I'd probably say free agent. I'd probably say, like you, he's going to bounce around the place. He's going to do appearances, like, I don't know, down in OVW or something. Do you know what I mean? Just doing these smaller independent shows, just to be kind of a credential, like a bigger name to draw in crowds for those smaller independent shows. I could be highly wrong, and he could go on to be a big Eddie Kingston, like I said in the other video we done. I think that he could go on and be like he has the ability, I feel, to go on and be a similar kind of person to Eddie Kingston.
I mean, he's certainly definitely got the bars that could make him, you know, the controversy that can go behind it as well. But like you said there, he seems to have the music industry that could be more of an appeal for him to going forward. I think that's where I see more as well, and obviously that's why I think it'd be more independent based wrestling rather than a promotion based wrestling. But at the same time, whatever he does do, like you say, there is credentials there, and hopefully he'll be able to maximize and use the best of them wherever he does land. Dabba Kato,
kind of a strange one. Like, I think I'd need to see more character development, but I'd still put him in Impact. I think he has the ability to, because of his size and stature. I can't off the top of my head think of a lot of guys that look like him in Impact, aside from people like Moose, like just a generically big guy. I think if you can give him a character that he can run with, I think he'd do well in Impact. Maybe maybe NWA.
Would be a good shout as well there. I'm going to go for New Japan, and New Japan Strong, I think, will be the placement for him. I think, like you said, a big presence, someone that dominates, someone that I think for an audience like New Japan would look in awe at a guy like Dabba Kato. And I think he has potential where he could perhaps break through and break out. I think Japan would be a great spot for him if he was able to, end up being able to go over to there. Unfortunately for Shanky, I'm going to go with the Indies. I don't have a promotion at the moment for Shanky.
Yeah, he screams just independent runs. He's going to be a case of your local indie show saying appearance by former WWE star Shanky, and that's what it will be, unfortunately, for the time being, until like I said, he stops dancing and he starts working on his wrestling. Do you know what I mean? Then maybe in the future, but yeah, indies for me as well.
Absolutely. Let's go with, you can put them together if you want, or you can have them separately, Mace and Mansoor, or Mansoor, depending on how you want to take it. But we'll start with Mace.
Again, I think these two, the pair of them two, you can put them both together because I think you get the same answer from me. Impact, I think that depending on what they decide to go with, if they went, for example, if they went with a maximum male models aesthetic, Impact, they would accelerate through. I think if they were going to reinvent themselves, that's where I'd find it hard to place them at the minute. For me, you could easily put Mansoor in ROH because he's a really good wrestler. Mace, again, there's a couple of places, but I think for safety reasons, I put both of them in Impact.
I don't have to agree with you. The time I was going to say to myself, oh, I don't know, maybe like a Ring of Honor or somewhere like that. But now you mentioned Impact Wrestling. Obviously, like you said, it's the land of the gimmicks. It does so well. And these two could excel doing what they do in Impact Wrestling. So I would agree with you. And that's where I think I could see them being. So that's pretty much everything then for this particular video. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe as well. Make sure as well to drop a comment at the end of the video. If you're watching on delay, thank you for taking the time to watch this video as well. And NXT, before we finish off, any final words?
No, just, like, share, subscribe, and ring the damn bell. Yeah, man, all that good stuff.
Absolutely, indeed there. Thank you for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time here on SCW.